Hey, what is up everybody, and welcome back to a brand new video today here on Codename Pizza. And today we're going to be talking about Black Ops 6 Zombies and zombie storyline leading all the way back from Black Ops 4, featuring this little dude right here. Now, we recently got a brand new teaser drop for Black Ops 6 Zombies, which is not just confirming the return of some of the community's favorite gobblegums such as Perkaholic, Cashback, Stock Option, War Power, and even Profit Sharing, but also a brand new gobblegum machine as well, and confirmation that the Mr. Peeks character is also returning inside of this game, as well as being the main provider of gobblegums, as we can see from the machine itself. Now, obviously, this gets me super excited. I mean, gobblegums returning in general means that Mythbusting Mondays is going to be absolutely massive this year. But this also begs a question. We used to look at Mr. Peeks as just a replacement for the teddy bear that's normally on top of the mystery box from traditional zombies. But clearly, Treyarch are looking at the simple bunny rabbit having a much greater meaning inside of the zombies universe. So, if you pardon the pun, I wanted to go down the rabbit hole of the entire history of Mr. Peeks and see what he's actually going to be getting up to during Black Ops 6 Zombies. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the entire history of Mr. Peeks, from its very first reference all the way back in Black Ops 4 Zombies, all the way through Cold War and into the newer modern titles as well. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Also, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe if you are brand new. We're on a road to 1 million subscribers, and I would like to try and hit it during Black Ops 6's cycle. That would be amazing. Thank you, and here we go. So as I said before, the first reference to Mr. Peeks can actually be referenced back all the way back in Black Ops 4 Zombies' final DLC map and the final map of the entire Ether storyline, Tagged a Totem, where Richtofen makes this quote during the campfire quote sequence.
Now, I know you'll probably never really trust me, and even now, you'll be expecting me to pull some last-minute rabbit out of a hat. A big rabbit of betrayal. So, do you have a rabbit of betrayal? Sadly, no. I am all out of rabbits.
Now, at the time, this was a fairly irrelevant and very throwawayable quote, but travel forward to 2020 with the release of Black Ops Cold War, and we start to be able to connect these dots a little bit. And that campfire quote is very clearly hinting at a future storyline. And as soon as we spawn into the very first Zombies map on Cold War, D Machine, we have our first couple of encounters with Mr. Peeks, this bunny rabbit. Instantly, we see on top of the mystery box inside of Spawn that our traditional teddy bear that we normally have inside of Zombies is now replaced with this bunny rabbit, as well as some graffiti over on the wall near the door in Spawn as well. Now, obviously, like I said before, Mr. Peeks has the exact same role as the teddy bear from previous Zombies titles, where when the mystery box moves, the rabbit will then fly up into the air, and will also have the audible laughter of a child. But our first real encounter with Mr. Peeks is actually on the next Zombies map of Cold War, Firebase Z. After powering up 3 generators inside of the map, you're able to head back to Spawn and make your way to the top of the stairs, where you can now aim down sight and stare at Mr. Peeks. He's hidden just out of bounds, and after looking at him long enough, his head will turn and you'll be teleported into the dark void. In this void, your job is to find and shoot 3 floating Mr. Peeks, and following this, you'll then be rewarded with a rewards crate, which provides the player with salvage, a guaranteed Juggernaut perk, and the possibility of a wonder weapon, a rare weapon, or even grenades. This event alone allows us to realize that Mr. Peeks isn't just a simple creepy stuffed rabbit, but he can also manipulate the story itself and potentially possesses some crazy level of power. Moving on from Firebase Z, our next 2 Zombies experiences during Cold War were both the Easter eggs added to that huge Outbreak Zombies game mode map. Inside of Outbreak, we had endless amounts of intel to find, one of them being Mr. Peeks himself, and he's located on a bed. Keep in mind that even up to this point, we still haven't actually been given a name for this bunny rabbit yet. That comes much later on inside of the season of Cold War, but finding him on the bed inside of Outbreak, you'll have access to this intel out of game that shows Mr. Peeks and is titled Mystery Box Bunny, with the description being a stuffed bunny rabbit toy of unknown origin. It's crazy to think that even 3 maps inside of Treyarch's previous title, we still really didn't know anything about this bunny rabbit, and now he has his own gobblegum machine inside of Black Ops 6. It's crazy, but alas, during this video, we'll understand why. The next time that we see Mr. Peeks is inside of the second Outbreak Easter egg, and at this point, he really starts to build a presence inside of the storyline, and actually solidifying himself as a real character that will be of major importance. Mr. Peeks actually gets a huge role inside of this Easter egg, and it's mainly in the penultimate Easter egg step of the entire map. after moving the red entity orb across the map over to the escort rover, you must then go and find Mr. Peeks himself, and he's going to be at one of the 3 mystery box locations that are on the map. Once you've found him, you can then interact with him. Well, you'll then have to kill a full horde of zombies, and after doing so, you'll actually then be able to pick up Mr. Peeks, where he becomes your specialist, and he'll remain as a specialist until you get to the escort rover. His specialist power inside of this is to release a huge wave of Ethereum energy, killing all the enemies around it. Once getting to that escort rover, Mr. Peeks will go inside of it, mixing with that red entity orb, while the sound of children's laughter can play as well, similar to the sound of when the mystery box moves. Once mixed together, the escort rover gives access to the player to proceed by neutralizing all the Ethereum particles in the air, which would normally be hazardous to the player. Along with this, we also unlock some intel in-game known as the Child's Note. And this piece of intel is by far the most important thing we'll receive up to this date, aside from the massive Mr. Peeks inclusion inside of the Black Ops 6 Zombies reveal with his own gobblegum machine. The Child's Note intel shows this: a piece of paper with Mr. Peeks on it, with the writing saying, "This is my best friend, Mr. Peeks. Mr. Peeks is always watching. Mr. Peeks lives in my hat. Mr. Peeks likes to play hide and seek. Mr. Peek always tells the truth. Thank you, Mr. Peeks, for keeping me safe in the dark place." Now, yeah, obviously, my mind was blown as well. This is absolutely nuts. So let's break down the most interesting pieces of the text inside of this. Mr. Peeks lives in my hat. Obviously, once again, this is referring and referencing to the Richtofen quote from around the campfire sequence of Tag the Totem, where he talks about pulling a rabbit out of his hat. Next, we have the line, "Mr. Peeks likes to play hide and seek." This could be possibly referencing the Fly Trap Easter egg on Doris, where Samantha screams, "Let's play hide and seek." Then we have the line, "Mr. Peeks always tells the truth." This could easily be referencing one of the most famous quotes inside of Zombies that we've ever heard, "Teddy is a liar," which obviously we've seen in multiple maps across the whole Zombie storyline. And still to this day could actually be referencing the teddy bear, or it could be referencing Richtofen himself. Realistically, we haven't got a conclusive confirmation of who or what Mr. Peeks is yet, but I'll finish talking about this piece of paper with the final statement. In the Cold War story, Weaver is claimed to have burned down a house to kill the target, which could easily be Richtofen, and the target's son was still inside of the house. Richtofen's son is called Samuel, aka Sam, and if we look at the sides of the Child's Note, we can see that it's in fact burnt. This could easily suggest that Mr. Peeks himself could be Richtofen's son, or Richtofen's son harnesses the power of Mr. Peeks. Honestly, there's so many different ways that you can look at this, and up until researching this video, I kind of just shrugged it off as it just could be anything, but this is mental. This is making me fall in love with the Dark Ether storyline. It's wild. There's so much stuff that it could possibly be. So moving on, the next time we actually get to see Mr. Peeks is easily the biggest appearance that we have of Mr. Peeks throughout everything we've ever seen him in, aside from the major storyline stuff. And this takes place on the next Zombies map inside of Cold War, Mauer der Toten. Potentially the best Zombies map on the whole of the Black Ops Cold War game. Mauer der Toten is definitely loved by fans and is praised as potentially the greatest main quest of the game as well. The map features a huge Mr. Peeks side Easter egg, where your challenge is to go and find 6 pieces of Mr. Peeks around the map. Once you've found all 6 pieces, you'll instantly be teleported to an area of the map that is only accessible via this Easter egg quest. You'll get sent to a nightclub or a game show area where you'll have to survive 3 rounds of zombies, which include zombies, manglers, and even bonus zombies as well. All while Mr. Peeks is actually DJing behind the DJ decks inside of the nightclub. After the 3 waves, he'll reward you with a max ammo, and you'll also get to go up on stage with him and select one of the game show doors, where you can then go inside of and claim your rewards crate. On the surface of this Easter egg, it seems to just be a little bit of fun, right? Get some awesome loot. But under the surface, this quest could easily be suggesting so much more. We know that from previous Mr. Peeks encounters, like on the second Outbreak Easter egg, he's way more than just a simple bunny rabbit, and from that Child's Note as well. In fact, he seems to be possessed by a very specific entity. Like I said before, it could be Richtofen's son. There's also another one that it could be a little bit later on in this video, but we'll get to that. But in this Mauer der Toten Easter egg, it's subtly suggesting to us, just like we saw in the Firebase Z Easter egg, that Mr. Peeks could in fact have some control over the zombies themselves. Whether that being a good thing or a bad thing, we're yet to know. know. And once again, just like Firebase Z, he can reward you with those rewards. So he has control over drops inside of the game. The final zombies map of Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War released on October 7th, 2021. Which honestly, side note, is a bit weird, right? That's super late inside of the Zombies DLC season to get a map. But hey ho, it was pretty good. But along with this map, we had one more Mr. Peeks reveal, a side Easter egg. By using the PhD perk and jumping off specific buildings, you can actually spawn a Mr. Peeks himself on the ground by landing on a specific oil spill. Once spawned, you'll be able to see the caption Ether Bunny. So even up until this point, Treyarch themselves are attempting to hide the identity of Mr. Peeks unless you've read that child's note that's hidden intel inside of that second Outbreak Easter egg. They're still not yet referring to him as Mr. Peeks aside from that note. So unless you found that intel, you really can't investigate this bunny rabbit yet. This also does show us that Treyarch are massively going to make sure that he's a crucial part of the Dark Ether storyline, which obviously we now know because of the Black Ops 6 Zombies reveal with the Gobblegum. But once you found that Mr. Peeks, you'll be able to pick him up and go and place him inside of the Bubby Burgertown mascot. Bubby will then come to life and you have to protect him for the amount of time that's shown on the screen. If you successfully do so, you'll then be rewarded with loot. A very short and simple interaction with Mr. Peeks on this map, but once again showing that he has an insane amount of power and can provide us with rewards. The very final reference that we have to the whole hidden Mr. Peeks origin story on Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War is on Forsaken, where the Forsaken boss says this:
As the old Dark Ether saying goes, you're all out of rabbits. Do you know what that means? It means no more escapes. This time, no one gets out alive.
Now, this quote is directly referring to the Richtofen line from the campfire in Tag the Toten once again, and obviously refers to Mr. Peeks as well, showing that Mr. Peeks is known inside of the Dark Ether, and that quote is known inside of the Dark Ether as well. It's a super interesting quote, but another super interesting quote that we get on the Forsaken cutscene is the one where it says,
40 Earth years.
Now, I love that quote because I guess it's time on this video to go back 40 years. Call of Duty Vanguard. It's hard to say without laughing. What can I actually say about the game, though? I mean, there's parts of it that I like. Yeah. But luckily for us, Mr. Peeks also does play a big part inside of Vanguard, so let's talk about Mr. Peeks. Aside from the quite obvious things like Mr. Peeks just appearing on top of the mystery box on all maps, our first real encounter with him on this game is on potentially my favorite map of the entire game, and it probably goes in my top 20 maps of all time maybe, which is their version of Shino Numa. For this Mr. Peeks Easter egg, you have to be almost done with the entire Easter egg quest, and once you've accessed the blood urn in the center of the map near the flogger, you'll then be able to drink the blood, and you need to go and find 2 pieces of Mr. Peeks from around the map. You'll then be able to go and find the final piece underneath the mystery box when the mystery box moves to another location, and after collecting all 3 pieces of Mr. Peeks, you'll be rewarded with 5,000 points and also a fire sale. Once again telling us that he either has partial, if not complete power over drops inside of zombie maps, along with the fact that he has existed all the way back since World War II's era. We then go on to see Mr. Peeks just one more time inside of the Vanguard story in the final zombies map of the game, the Archon, where you have a really similar Easter egg where you just find parts of Mr. Peeks' body from around the map, and he gives you some reward after it. This Easter egg is also kind of still unknown, like people can replicate it now and again, but it's honestly a bit weird. So if you want to go Easter egg hunting and find the real steps, feel free. Mr. Peeks' appearance in this game is obviously a strange one. As for the story that we uncovered in Cold War could potentially contradict his entire existence inside of this game, but another theory that we have why Mr. Peeks is actually inside of this game is that Mr. Peeks is actually a child who has been transformed into the bunny itself, or the bunny is possessed by a child, and that child potentially being the son of Cortifex and Syraxis, 2 gods from Vanguard zombies. It's just a theory, but it does give some kind of example as to why Mr. Peeks' existence is inside of that World War II era, but personally I like the theory that it's Richtofen's son Samuel. We now only see Mr. Peeks a very few more times inside of zombies up until Black Ops 6. The next time after Vanguard that we see Mr. Peeks inside of Warzone, where we've got to find different locations where you can actually find him inside of the Warzone map. Once you found all his locations, you're then rewarded with this calling card. Now I find it a bit weird that he's inside of Warzone, but this calling card is actually super interesting. I mean, the image itself suggests that there's actually an internal skeleton structure to this bunny rabbit teddy bear, which is a bit creepy, a little bit disturbing as well. And it also also opens up a whole can of worms. So, yeah, let's move swiftly on to the final few instances that we see him instead of actually trying to tackle this weird skeleton bunny. Where the last time we actually saw him was inside of Modern Warfare Zombies. Mr. Peeks was used for most of the free perk Easter eggs inside of this game, which would obviously once again suggest that Mr. Peeks doesn't just have power over drops, he also has power over perks as well. And soon we'll actually be able to go one step further with this idea too. We also then get to see Mr. Peeks in the tier 4 Dark Ether section of the Modern Warfare Zombies Easter egg, where he rewards us with schematics inside of the game. And he also makes a nice cameo on the golden armor plate drop itself. Obviously through this video, we've seen that Mr. Peeks has almost complete control of providing us with perks, drops, rewards, and we can almost confirm this to be a huge part of who or what he is due to the recent Black Ops 6 zombie teasers where he's featured with his own gobblegum machine, replacing the traditional Dr. Monty's gobblegum machine that we had during Black Ops 3. We know the absolute insane amounts of story that was associated to Dr. Monty during the whole of the Ether storyline. So, are we expecting to see the same with Mr. Peeks? I would honestly assume so, and obviously after researching this entire video, I hope so. After researching this, I'm so hyped about Black Ops 6 Zombies, just to see where the Dark Ether storyline goes from here, as well as the gameplay. My god, Mythbusting Mondays is going to be dope with gobblegums. But there you go, that's a full backstory on Mr. Peeks. I would love to know what you guys think inside of the comment section, and if you've got any theories yourself. This was a massive video for me to make, especially considering I'm still full-time streaming, so you know, I'm excited to get back to more videos with Black Ops 6, but if you enjoyed it, please do smash the like button, subscribe if you are brand new. We're on the road to 1 million, hopefully we get it during Black Ops 6's cycle, and I will see you in the next video or the next live stream. I appreciate you all a lot, and peace out.